Hey guys, it's Sky. Thanks for connecting with me again, and I wanted to get right to it about the interactions with our extraterrestrial family, our galactic brothers and sisters, once they get here on planet Earth, and how it's going to be, and how they're going to interact with us, and how they're going to benefit us and society. And as the light beings continue to educate me on this, I am going to continue to educate you. When they met me now probably 4 years ago, I promised that I would, no matter what, give the message, no matter what I looked like, or if I was tired, or if I appeared out there, it didn't matter, that I was just going to give the message, and I'm going to keep that commitment. So let's go to it. Anyway, they talk to me, I've said in it's my favorite music. I've said in my other videos how, once they interact with us, and they're already interacting with our governments in many, many ways. There's some that are interacting with our governments in light, and there's some interacting with our governments in the dark. And but I'm just going to deal with something really, really interesting right now. That, see, I just want to tell you, aliens interact with government more. This is just general. Aliens more interacting with government. Extraterrestrials more interact with humans. Extraterrestrials are multi-dimensional beings. Aliens are interdimensional beings. So they say that the Zeta Reticulans are interacting with our government, but we have to remember, and they're giving us our crop circles, and they're part of the Greys, but we also know that there's some of those alien races that are just interdimensional. I'm dealing with right now, for the purpose of this conversation, actually, I'm just going to deal with extra-dimensional extraterrestrials. So remember, we're in this dimension, and within our dimension right now, there's in this galaxy, there's many dimensions, and then there's other galaxies, and there's dimensions there. So part of my extraterrestrial self is connected to extraterrestrials like yours is, especially if you are particularly are tuned to me. So, and my consciousness, not me in particular. Now, in my other video, I talked about how it was going to be like once the higher evolved societies, the extraterrestrials, come in. This is after disclosure. This is after the false prophet has come in, and we've cleared away all the crap. And let me just. They're telling me to reiterate here, because prior to the change of the false prophet and the New World Order trying to come over, like in the middle of all this, what I'm shown is that the light beings are telling me, because I've been a communicator for all sources, many sources, I should say many, and from the Melchizedek, the people who brought in the higher consciousness of the Christ energy, we're getting information that I need to explain to people, and it's very interesting, actually, that this is particular information from them. We have incarnated now. The younger babies that have come in are most likely indigo children or starseed children, a huge percentage of them. And now they're coming in with a really high genetic code here. Very, very high genetic code. Now this code you may be familiar with if you've been a light worker like me, and you've been genetically activated because you've gone through a whole bunch of stuff and you tweaked out of the matrix, or you had an awakening, or you've had contact, or you've had, somehow you've been tweaked out of the matrix. Now, what happens with the Melchizedek order is they're going to be surrounding these children with the highest light possible. Now I'm going to stretch your imagination real far here, because that's the way the esoteric, the world that we're headed to, is they're going to start to have children, not children, young adults, very young adult females becoming pregnant without having intercourse, and because these dimensional beings from Melchizedek, how I'm explained, are very high dimensional beings, and we're going into, like, they talk to me about sound and sound vibration, and usually when I hear that, I understand that to be ninth dimensional. So and the ninth dimensional beings that are going to Melchizedek order, connecting with us, they are going to be igniting holy, sacred beings through the fetuses of these females that are able to sustain high vibrations, and they're going to be getting pregnant, and it's going to be they don't know what's going on with them, and they don't understand what's happening, and this is part of the new golden age that is coming in. See, it's a very minute thing, because like when I have my memory, and I've done this particular, usually I just have a memory, but I also had come to the understanding from other light workers that you have a long time ago, you know, you have a memory of a Lemuria when we made babies, when you use sound. Sound heals. You get the resonance of the earth vibration, and sound will heal. Sound heals. But in the ninth dimension, because that is part of creation, sound is part of creation. I think sound's even higher than light. They take sound into forming children, into their fetuses. So, which I thought was very, very interesting, because it kind of comes and goes with Melchizedek order bringing in newer higher beings, and we're going to see this, and we're not going to know what's going on. So I wanted to bring awareness to the public that this is a higher order here, because the planet has called out for massive assistance. Well, not because we're in the golden age, and this is part of it, and then also what the extraterrestrials wanted me to tell you about how we start to interact with them more and more. Besides, that's just one kind of interesting thing I gone off and got educated about with them a couple nights ago, and I wanted to share with you, but that was just one little topic that was included. The other one I thought was really interesting was they say that they have, like, they could, on planet Earth, we're lined up on a grid system, and we're lined up on a grid system that is so equal to a chakra system. And okay, so just time out here, just one little interesting thing. I just look at my hand, and I just see the M. You know, people say they see the hand in the M from Lemuria, and I just happened to see it there. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but a lot of people have the M sign on their hand. It was just kind of glaring at me. But anyway, so just so I'm going to get back to the free energy, into how these ET beings are describing to me that we are going to be getting more of free energy. Of course, they get into the whole propulsion thing, which that's not what I was going to talk about right now. I'm sure I'll go there. They want me to talk about in my next video, which I'm going to do right after this, is white tantra, white sex magic, and how that can actually benefit our lives and benefit us in great ways in healing the body and the planet. So I'll just take a minute on my next video to do that. It's a reminder, but they talk about, with the ETs, talk about how we can do not just propulsion, how we're going to work through this, but it's also how see, they have an ability to see underground, how we have connected to not our oils, but the energy grids, that if we're wave particles, it's very hard to explain, so we're wave particles operating on light beams, that can actually feed off of the sun. And these chakra centers at various points are gonna, you know, they can see where our oils are, they can see where all the energies are coming out of the earth, and they're gonna be educating in us how to use free energy amongst ourselves. And see, the government's already taken this, and they know about this, so they've taken it and they've made money on this, but they're gonna teach us, the citizens, how to do this. And I've already talked about a couple of the major changes that were going to be happening in our judicial system and how that was going to go down. And I might go into more, I hope I've covered that. They tend to give me things as I go, but I think I've covered that they're going to be taken out of order. You know, that they were going to have revelations about the darker forces and the occults, and that the new order was going to be, like a higher order was going to be coming in once the false prophet is exited from the planet. So there's a lot of changes going on here, and we have to be very, very strong, and we have to be very, very connected. And you're also going to be getting signs from your family. Your star families are going to be contacting you and assisting you. And our job is to make sure that we bring heaven to earth, and that we remain open channels, because you know, I talked about false disclosure in my last video, and I'm going to continue doing that. But I was kind of, they asked me to talk about how the ETs are going to be interacting with us, how our life is going to be changing. That's what they talk about too, is we age much, much differently. We are going to be living off of solar chi, and they teach us how to live off of solar chi and to rejuvenate the cells within our being, because the bone marrow and has been restricted. And they talk to me about this. They talk about so we have to. Bone marrow comes from the blood, which we can ignite from the cellular rays from the DNA. So. And it comes with the action of the movement from the earth being the spleen and the sun being the yang, the yin and yangs. But it's a very complicated, complex story, complex description, I should say. So they talk about that we are not going to age the same way. We don't make babies the same way. We don't age the same way. We don't create energy the same way. We don't communicate the same way, because in my other videos I talked about how we have telepathy, and we have well, that's kind of how we do communicate. We communicate with telepathy, so we're creator gods. And once you start to work on each dimension, and I talked about them again in my other video, like, you know, we have the first dimension, well, we have just nothing, that's just one flat line. And then the second dimension, the third dimension, we get 3 dimensions of reality. The 3D reality we live in. The 4th dimension is our collected. The 5th dimension, the higher is a higher dimension. We're going to start to include more things. And then the 6th, the 7th, and 8th, we start to get the sound, sacred geometry. So once we conquer all this, then we're able to become creator gods. Very similar to what the Nutaru were. We're part of, we have a connection to them. They were the angels that created this planet, and we have a connection to this. But there's been a lot of crap in the meantime. So anyway, and remember, this is just this planet. We are on an evolutionary planet called Earth, and in Earth there is just a parallel Earth, and that's the one thing, you know, the one good code that I wanted to tell you about, how we can protect ourselves from the darker forces. Because when you're a light worker, you know, see, these Illuminati are, you know, that's the next thing that the ETs talking about, hologram hopping, and we go through these Stargates, and they teach us how to hologram hop. Very interesting, very interesting. I mean, that could be a whole video on how to hologram hop, and I have a memory of how to get through the Stargate of, well, they're actually taking some now. They're taking us through the Stargates, but the darker forces have blocked our stargates, but I know that when you've been taken out of the matrix, you're going through stargates, and you're going and you're connecting to other interdimensional beings. So anyway, so you learn how to interact through, and it's not just like anybody can go through a stargate. I mean, you have to have a clearance. This is a very high order, and it's almost like, you know, when we go to the end of time and we are going to go reach the Ark of the Covenant, you don't just go and get the Ark of the Covenant because you're searching for it and you found it and you're controlling the government, you're the government control, and you want the Ark of the Covenant. You get the Ark of the Covenant because your vibration is so of pure love, and then you can open the Ark of the Covenant. These ETs showed us, they'll show us how to do this. When we open the Ark of the Covenant, our internal spiritual self, higher, there's the Ark of the Covenant in heaven, and there's Ark of the Covenant on earth. We have access to that through here. And then when we open that and we get to the higher stargates, we start to hologram hop. So I think I covered everything about what they're telling me right now. Oh, what I was going to say about how we do have control over the Illuminati's, because remember, we're in parallel realities, right? And the Satan had a fall from heaven, but he had a fall from heaven. Now, that means some of his powers were taken away. Now, I know that he's hologram hopping, and he's going to these other dimensions, and with the Greys and the Illuminati and the ET and the Cabal, they're kind of time traveling, and they're figuring out how to come back here and control this planet. Okay, because Satan has those powers, and the darker forces has those powers, and the Illuminati has those powers, and the majestic 12 underneath New Berlin, and they have the and everywhere, but that's a good headquarter, I believe. And so they have these powers, but remember, Satan, only a third of, like, okay, so he fell, right, but he doesn't have all his powers. Like, his powers have been taken away, and because we're at the end of times, although he has, compared to us, it's a little different, because they've gone through and conquered these people, these darker forces, these darker beings have gone through and conquered these dimensions. Okay, even the darker forces have, but the angels have, the lighter beings, someone that's genetically coded like myself and other beings on the planet, thousands of us, we are able to tap into these interdimensional realities, these other realities, and bring back to you the same information. But the glory that we have over the darker forces is that we still have our connection. We've not been kicked out of heaven. We still have our connection to the supreme glory. We haven't been, part of us has been kicked out of heaven because we're on planet Earth, right? But there's a third. I mean, we volunteered to be on this evolutionary planet. But the third of the darker forces, they are here without their powers from the higher sources. And they don't want you to know this. And once you've been ignited, your DNA has been activated, you pass the matrix, you pass the darker terrestrial aliens above all of this, and you've connected with the supreme creator, prime creator, Mother, Father, God, Mother, Father, creation, above planet Earth, above just planet Earth. You understand how minute the Illuminati is, and how minute that can be, although they are the controllers of this planet right now. That's changing because the light workers are genetically coded to wake up. That is eternal. That's not going to change. That is real. It's impeccable. It's the most profound, astonishing thing that we have. But it's your job to wake that up within you. And when your DNA computer wakes up, you have the most profound computer system there ever is, right within inside your own blood, and your own system, your own chakra system, your own solar system. Remember, all the stars that are lined up in heaven, that's your brain cell. If you were to look at the little brain cells, that's right here. So anyway, but your job is to realize the reality of your godlike being self. That is activated through each cycle of life, you know, our physical, our emotional, our spiritual, our all of it is activated in the mind of the one God creation, prime God. And you can activate that through surrendering yourself outside of the matrix, understanding your godlike self, and opening yourself up to what is really going on here, what's really going on the planet. So and we're going to have a chance to experience that. The ETs have contacted us. We're teaching you how to do this. There are many powerful light workers on the planet bringing this in. It's not an overnight thing, but it definitely is happening. So thank you so much for listening.